Riptide loves to read his codex, but Kano prefers the Kindle. Fresh and buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. It is episode 195. We're getting close to 200, folks. Pretty crazy. We are joined this week by the wonderful MajiinBae. Welcome back to the show. How's it going, my friend? What is new?
Thank you. It's good. Going good. World Tour Weekly is probably like the new thing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that for sure.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But you know, listen, it's been a minute now. Admittedly, and this speaks to how great MajiinBae is as a person. Is that I messaged him a while ago. So hey, you want to come back on the show? And you answered.
Long time ago.
You answered like immediately, and I didn't see it. And I was just sitting there because, you know, hey, people are busy. Sometimes people take a lot of time to answer me. That's okay. I just assumed MajiinBae never answered, which is fine. I forget to answer messages all the time, and I'm like, let me double check on Majin. Maybe I'll send him a follow-up message. He answered right away, and I was like, God, I'm an idiot. So, and he's here, and he still wanted to come on. That's so beautiful. Why are you like this? Why are you so nice?
I don't know how nice that is, but
It's nice to me. But hey, listen, it's big bud energy, and that's what we're all about here. And obviously, we have a lot to talk about because the meta just shifted big time.
a lot. Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about it. And before we do that, though, World Tour Weekly, you mentioned it. Start seeing your face on a different channel. What's going on with that? How did that come about? And how you liking it?
So a few months ago, I was reached out to by an LSS employee, Alex, if you know him, and he was like, "Hey, what do you think about possibly doing like a news show for Flesh and Blood for us?" And I was like, "That sounds so sick." And so we basically been like brainstorming about it for the last like 2 months, sending each other like mock-up drafts, talking about the like kind of what we're looking for. And yeah, then it all came together for the first episode, which was last week.
Mm-hmm.
The second episode just released. But yeah, that first episode was like and this one as well was like a hurricane through my scheduling for a little bit, because it was like, okay, I have all this time to like kind of prepare what I want to do, but then I needed like a green screen. And all that stuff showed up like Sunday, and the video has to go out Tuesday, right? Plus ProQuest results don't post until like late Sunday. But then LSS isn't in office until like my Monday afternoon, right? Because New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so I don't get the results until like late Monday afternoon. And at the time I was working full time. I'm in school full time. So I was like, okay, it's my evening. Here we go. I like set up the green screen. Everything went wrong, as it always does. And then I like, I had a script that I had to change because certain heroes did better and worse than I expected. And then I like went through, recorded. The editing took me like, I don't know, 5 hours. Like a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. I mean, it's like the raw recording of me is like 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And the video's like 8.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it's just like a lot of like messing up lines. It's a lot of like, when you cut out every little break, it like really, yeah. So it took me a really long time. I stayed up till like 3:30 a.m. Shipped it off to a couple very trusted people and said like, critique this so I can give another pass before sending it in. They gave me some critiques. I made some changes, sent it in. They said, can you make a couple more changes before we post it? I'm like, yeah, made a couple more changes, sent it in. And then what you see is the first episode, which was like, it was really fun. I really enjoy them.
Yeah.
But they're hard. I'm falling into it a little bit more, as time goes on, as you do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, we're 2 weeks in, right, to
Yeah.
it, which is exciting, and nothing like a hard deadline where nothing goes right to really like make you lock in and really,
Oh yeah.
zone in. You wouldn't have known. I will say that from a viewer of the video, I wouldn't
That's
have
good.
known that it was as hectic as it sounds, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it was, but the product was great in the end, and it is kind of cool. So like in terms of this going forward, we're in the throes of the ProQuest season, but that will end,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
And we still have like battle hardens and callings that come up every weekend. Is that kind of the plan to cover those as we go forward? I mean,
Yeah.
weekly is in the name, so I have to assume.
Weekly is in the name. The plan is weekly.
Okay.
So I mean, there's going to be a couple weeks where there is just actually nothing.
Hmm.
But like if you look at the schedule of events and then you factor in like ProQuests and RTNs, it's very few weeks. It's like definitely under one a month, right? I would wager it's probably even like under 2 times a month that happens, where there's a week where there's nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, what'll be difficult is the weeks where we have one battle hardened. It's in a foreign country where I don't know any of the players, and there's no stream. That's when it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we have to know some players. Maybe not so much. People aren't traveling like that for battle hardens anymore.
Mhm.
But yeah, and you know what? It's very cool, and the culmination of the world tour branding, kind of like hitting some more stride here with this, is kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
And at first it felt, I will say, like personally, it felt a bit of a weird kind of branding choice for everything. But now that it's kind of come together and we've gotten used to it, I think just change makes you feel like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not what I'm
Yeah.
used to.
What is this crap? Yeah, no, I agree. I think like I really loved the idea of the World Tour Weekly show.
Yeah.
The funny little thing happened where like Pro Tour London was coming up, and Alex and I had been kind of back and forth, and I was really excited about this. I like really wanted to do this.
Hmm.
And then people stopped getting back to me for like a couple weeks, and I was like, oh no, dude, like, are they pulling the plug on it? Like,
Yeah.
is this just not gonna happen? And then James White and I talked at Pro Tour London, and he's like, "So when's the first episode coming out?" I was like, "Okay, good. This is still." They were just busy with the Pro Tour.
Yeah, understandably. There's a lot
Yeah.
to go on there. No, it's
That-
awesome. But what were you saying?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
That like venue for London was great. Like the Pro Tour London experience was really good, and I've been to like all of them. I don't know.
Mhm.
Something stood out to me about London. It was just like nice. They had. Sorry, were you there?
I was not there. So tell me about
Okay,
it. I want to know how great it
Okay,
was.
yeah. So it's basically it was a convention like center, right?
Mhm.
So just a giant basically warehouse, but the warehouse is connected to kind of like a mall, like an indoor mall,
Okay.
with just a bunch of like restaurants, which you'd expect at a mall, right? Like fast food places, coffee places, that kind of stuff. And you walk down this like really large indoor tunnel. That's the mall area, and it connects to these different like warehouses, where you would have events. So as you're walking down towards the venue, I suppose, towards the door for the Flesh and Blood venue, there's just like a bunch of they had like big posters, this Flesh and Blood Pro Tour, this spot, and then they had another like right outside of it, maybe like 50 feet back. They had a giant like a sign, not hung. It was like on the ground about this level. And it posted all the events, and it's
Whoa.
huge, right? It was like 10 feet wide, like 6 feet tall. And so I just saw a bunch of non-Flesh and Blood people. There was like a Nintendo event there. I saw a bunch of non-Flesh and Blood people just like looking at the sign, reading it. They're like, "What is this thing?" And then it says like, "Come inside. It's free to play." And then you walk inside, and the first thing you see when you walk inside is their big Learn to Play booth, all lit up,
yeah.
like. And then you see behind it just all these people playing these games, right? Like, it was just, I don't know, there was something about it. It just felt so well put together this time. I meant to mention it in my story time, and it just like slipped my mind.
Well, no, it sounds awesome, and really like LSS is making like huge strides in
Mhm.
the kind of physical marketing department, especially like at these conventions and then the events themselves. And it's like a harsh truth. I would say that these kinds of things like show legitimacy, because we know the
They
game's
do.
legitimate, and because we're pretty ingrained in it and we know.
Mhm.
But when, like you said, like the people wandering over from the Nintendo event are like, whoa, this looks like pretty
It's a
serious.
real deal.
This
Yeah.
is like
Mhm.
what's going on here. Even if
Yeah.
you're not a TCG player, like I'm kind of find out what this is all about. But no, that's awesome. But wait till Worlds, I guess, Philly. If it's in the convention center, is next door, Reading Terminal Market. Get some really good food over there. It's not probably as nice as London, but the Philly fans out there, I think, will probably say it is. But they're biased.
But they're biased.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Philly. I don't think I'll be able to go to Singapore.
Yes,
It's just like that's so tough.
That's a big trip. That is a big trip.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, with that kind of legitimacy that in the physical marketing that Ellis's is doing, also just like a lot of the other things they do is kind of like not expected from a TCG company, and the dev talks are one of them, I would say.
Yeah.
And it did just come out, so it's worth talking about. James White, Brian sat down, talked about Aurora hitting LL, which is the big meta shift that I had alluded to earlier. And it was a very fast, lightning fast almost.
Lightning fast, one might say. Gone in a flash.
Gone in a flash in a way. And, and, they kind of sat down, and to me, like, I saw this coming for a while, and I'm not an Aurora player, so it didn't affect me from a personal level, but I understand the Aurora players that did. Funny enough, this weekend I bought my Aurora Armory deck, even though I knew it was hitting LL. I was like, I've just
played like one weekend. And you just wanted the cards.
No, I want it in the box because I think maybe behind I have a couple.
Oh
of them
yeah,
back there.
Okay, yeah.
But I just wanted it anyway, and with that talk, they promised the return of Aurora in a year, right? May or June, they said.
Yeah.
What do you make of the talk? Did you get a chance to listen to it or watch it? Because I thought it was great.
No, it was good. I love the dev talks. I talked about it on the World Tour Weekly, and I actually talked more about it on the World Tour Weekly than what made the final cut. I sent it in, and they were like, maybe don't say this on an official LSS broadcast. And I was like, okay. Nothing like super bad, just maybe some jokes that are not supposed to be pointed at your own company. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I watched it, and it's cool. It's cool that they are constantly communicative. You get what I'm saying? About these things, and it's good that players know that Aurora is coming back pretty soon, especially with the I mentioned that they set up this pipeline, and they talk about this too in the video, where it's like, okay, you have the first strike deck. When Rosetta came out, it was like Aurora versus Terra. Okay, great new player product.
Oh yeah.
Armory decks are by far their best product they've ever released.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Aurora Armory deck. Boom. Now we have like, okay, you go for the first strike deck. You say, hey, this is pretty cool. I bought it with my buddy or my brother or whatever, right? And then you're like, what's next? I want to play at a store. Armory deck. Same hero. Just adult. You get new cards. Cool. I'll buy that. Bang. I'm in the game now. She's gone. Like, that timeline's horrible, or that pipeline's terrible for people. So from a business sense, they have to bring her back. But I remember watching it, and my first thought when watching it and hearing them talk about it was like, what about Icelander, bro?
Yeah.
What about Dromai? Where's Lexi, right? Like, where are these heroes?
Yeah, that's been a common sentiment, when they gave a hard date on Aurora. Like, wait a second.
Yeah, I looked at the day Icelander Living Legend. I was like, how long was this?
What's all this talk about the dragons returning one day and, yada, 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 which I understand the idea here. And, I think there's, we'll probably get into a little bit of like how they might be approaching replacements. But Aurora definitely needs to come back. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. Like you mentioned, the pipeline, first strike decks, Armory deck, it should still be playable in CC. Now, should it have been Terra in the Armory deck? Maybe it'd been cool to add that as a hero because, a little clunkier. Not clunkier. It's a Guardian. It's supposed to be clunky. What am I saying? Yeah. And, I think that, it was probably a misstep. And they mentioned the misprint of
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Skyward Serenade.
yeah, which should have had the option for Go Again as one of the options.
Mhm.
But what are you gonna do? You know, at that point,
At
it's
that point, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with them. They talk about how much they hate erratas, and like I'm totally with them. Like if
yeah,
I'm designing a game, I would rather ban a card than errata it.
yeah. What's the only errata we've had? Briar, I think.
With Briar.
I
Briar,
think.
well, Snag, I think technically,
Oh
but
yeah,
nobody knew how
snag.
that card worked anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah,
It also
yeah.
like wasn't that big of a deal, right? But like if you errata a card in like a new player product,
Hmm.
that's not a great place to be.
No, that's not a great place to be at all. So it is interesting. I did appreciate the dev talk. You know, it is bold of them to come out and like I was personally shocked at how like remorseful I guess they were.
Yeah.
You know, like I obviously know that they make mistakes and that they own up to them like almost
Mhm.
always, but I didn't think that they would be that hard in on it. I just was like I thought when I tuned in, I thought, oh, we're gonna talk about Aurora and then maybe
Yeah.
high seas, and then we didn't really even get to any high seas stuff.
No.
So it is interesting. Icelander coming up. Do you think we're getting Icelander before Aurora?
Mm, I would love to say yes. I think like there's a inherent issue with one like elemental talents, which have been proven to be insane.
Yeah.
And two, the wizard class specifically, and to a lesser amount, the illusionist class.
Mm-hmm.
I have a term I like to use, which I used in World Tour Weekly, and I was reprimanded slightly for it. Which I say that like decks or strategies are fair or unfair. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is like a fair strategy is going
Yeah.
to be like your warrior, your hatchet story, right? It plays within the axes of the game and looks to maximize value. Where an unfair strategy would be something like Kano or possibly like Enigma or Prism that like play on a different axis.
Oh yeah.
Like the turn to turn value is not really what matters here. Um, and so wizards have to be a little bit unfair, or they're not wizards,
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
right? Like Hatchet's Verdance, not the move. That's not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you design that, especially around ice, where it's like such a powerful talent? It's disruptive. Like it's tough. So you have to like, they have to do something a little bit unfair. They have to be doing things at instant speed, and you have to include probably just the most powerful element of all time,
Yeah.
which is ice.
Yeah.
And you need to not break it. Like, how do you do it? I don't know. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. That's why we're here on the mics and not not over
Exactly.
New
That's
Zealand.
why I didn't. That's why I didn't sign up to that dev job that they posted.
Oh man, I mean, hey, listen, it is tough. Icelander, you know, was kind of an interesting one, like in the world that existed in. It's so weird to think about
Yeah.
Icelander because, like, yeah, that deck was like super powerful. They had a couple different iterations, and but
Mhm.
it also lived in a world where like, uh, Art of War was still legal. So
You
like,
could play all these cards, and she didn't run these cards. Yeah.
yeah. So it was, you know, obviously she would probably dominate right now. So
Yeah.
very interested to see how they revisit Ice with her. We saw it with Jarl.
I think they did great with Jarl. I don't know about you. I'm a huge Jarl fan. I mean, not like to play, but
Yeah, but definitely like nailed like a more balanced version. I mean, like limiting it to the equipment zones was I thought brilliant, right?
oh,
It's
just
just like
wow, I never would have thought of that.
it like it gave the opponent agency, right? In a
Mhm.
way. Like obviously
Yeah,
Jarl has ways to blow up the equipment, but they have to actually do stuff to do that.
they got to
right?
do
Like,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And the opponent can look and be like, I don't want to give up my equipment yet. I can't really afford to be taxed in this deck
Yep.
or whatever. So very interesting. Now, I want to get to more wizard talk, but first, we got to revisit the fresh faves. We got your fresh faves initially. This time, I want to get your hunted fresh faves. It's our freshest set,
The freshest of faves.
you know, right now until we hit high seas, which I am excited for. But we have to spend some time with Fang, Syndra, and Arachne Marinette. Who was your favorite hero from the hunted?
I'm not did. Probably Marionette, but I think Fang is the most. This is probably going to sound weird because Marina has like so many moving pieces and it's so interesting. I think Fang is probably the most inspired of the three.
Oh yeah.
I think warrior class has suffered for a long time with its like identity, and it's kind of pigeonholed into doing one thing that a lot of times isn't very good. And Fang takes the warrior, like, he's a warrior. Like, don't you know, when you play him, he is a warrior. He feels like a warrior, but he just does it differently.
Yeah.
And I think they did such a good job with that.
I agree. I mean, he is the warrior that is going to use Valiant Dynamos, but also be like super fast, right? Like
Yeah.
when you like do the Valiant Dynamo thing in other heroes, it feels like, oh, you're just getting like incremental value. No, in Fang, I'm like balls to the wall attacking you.
I'm swinging, bro.
I'm swinging, and then guess what? I'm also going to get like 6 block out of my equipment, my foot equipment. So it is, he is really awesome. I appreciate that answer. I think he's gonna.
He's got a great like mini game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True.
Like, not just the fealty, but like the mark stuff. Like mark matters. And it makes like, you know, like I keep bringing up Patch's story because I think it's just such a resident sleeper deck. It's just a snooze fest. But it's like if Dory starts her turn, I just count how much damage it is, and that's all that it is. But like when Fang starts doing stuff, it's like, oh man. But maybe I don't want to block here because if he marks me, I need to be able to block.
Yeah.
On this next chain link or whatever. Like, how bad is it to give him the second fealty? Because if he has like one that makes one,
yeah,
then I'm screwed, right? Like,
he's like, because like the biggest thing, and you know, I was talking to a buddy Nick at a ProQuest this weekend who went XO in Swiss with Fang, and just talking, it's like, honestly, the 3 fealty's great for you, or it's like, you know, whatever. As the opponent, I'm going to deal with it. You're attacking for, you know, whatever for 0. It's really the Hunt's End that makes that so dangerous, because it's so nice when they don't have the 3 fealty, because like I don't have to worry about that kind of damage. I can calculate most of it. Hunt's End, pretty nuts. Now, what's your favorite weapon from the Hunted?
Oh, my favorite weapon from the Hunted, probably Syndra's daggers.
Yeah.
I just think they're cool. I think like the play pattern, especially in limited, I don't play aggro decks in constructed, but like in draft, I really enjoyed like the resource management of the daggers. And I liked, you know, like, I'll bring them back on your turn, I'll attack twice, close the combat chain, bring them back, do this. Or like a lot of times you attack with 1, then close the chain, then start, and then bring it. It was just fun. Like, that's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
It turned head jabs into interesting stuff, you know?
I mean, it made flick knives like very expensive, but and also like really good. You know, it always was kind of good in like Assassin, but like, you know, people were like kind of messing around with flick knives in Ninja, but then they're like, oh no, here's the flick knives character. How about that?
Yeah, you're throwing daggers, and it was cool.
It was really cool. Now, what was your favorite equipment from the Hunted?
I think I gotta go with the Ninja chest piece.
Blood splattered
vest. Yeah, that one. I think that one's really neat and is very like. I like cards that offer choices to the player. You know, I think there's a lot of skill expression and things like that, especially expendable resources. And so I just think it's a cool card. Plus, it's beautiful. I opened it as my gold foil when I won Battle Hard in Portland, I think. Just a cool card.
I mean, that's a good gold foil, though.
That was not a bad gold foil, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a hybrid card, too, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, not a lot of the Assassins are playing, but like every once in a while you see an Assassin playing it, and you're like, oh, this Kiss of Death's going to generate a resource. And I'm like, and 1 damage. What the heck is going on here? Pretty awesome. Now, what was your favorite card you throw into your deck?
Oh, man. Ooh, man, I had this question. I looked at it and I thought, I'll think of something. And I didn't think of anything yet. Favorite card that goes into a deck. I really like not upsticks. Cut through the same cloth.
Yes.
That card, seeing my opponent's hand, especially in like such an attack react heavy format that the limited format was just like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think looking at our opponent's hands is back big time, right?
Yeah.
Andrew Rothmel just won a Battle Hardened on Kasai playing Seduce Secrets.
I know, 3 copies.
Which, awesome. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Andrew. That was so sick. Hey, listen, I played a lot of Plan for the Worst this season. Listen, the worst happened to me mostly, but when I played that card, it was good. Looking at opponent's hands. Now, I'm surprised you didn't say, obviously, it's an expansion slot card. Is Ring of Roses not in the Hunted?
It is. It is in the Hunted. It's honestly, Ring of Roses is probably my favorite card. I was trying to think of like hunted cards.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset with like the current direction of Verdance. Which is just like the most successful versions of Verdance is just giant red attacks. And like you play Waning Moon just for your Storm Strider's turn, and it's like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, it does seem kind of linear, but hey, we'll talk about that in a minute. I do have
We'll get there.
Two more special questions first. If you lived in the world of Wraith, MajiinBae, what class and talent would you be?
Okay, what do you think I would be?
You? So you got a big personality. You're very people are drawn to you. I think there's a Bravo showstopperness to you, kind of like you like the spotlight. I think you're probably really strong too. I mean, I haven't really put it to the test, but I think maybe a guardian because you also I think represent good values, which is another thing. But I'm just guessing. I don't know about talent though. It's probably. I guess it's like draconic, maybe to tie in with the wizard kind of stuff with Kano.
Sure.
Although Kano never was draconic.
Not even draconic, technically.
Yeah. What do you think?
That's a tough question, honestly. I had a similar question that I used to ask people. I'm so sorry. This podcast is going to go over the standard time. No, I love yapping about stuff like this. So I love to ask the people a question. It's like, okay, you're in a world where you end up fighting other people and things, right? Like there's orcs and goblins and other people out to get you. You have to pick which, if you were fighting in this world, which class/talent would you actually be?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would just be like, oh, you'd be the Kano guy. You'd just be flamethrowing people. And I definitely would not be.
Yeah.
Because I hate the idea of being fragile.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like that. And I don't know. I put way too much thought into this question. Fire magic, not a lot of stopping power.
True.
If you've seen their movies with special effects or whatever, but if you've seen a stunt guy run through a flamethrower, they just keep running at you. They're just now on fire, right? I don't love that idea. So something like Ice Wizard or Earth Wizard appeals to me a lot more. But honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that they're I don't know, evil, I might end up being something closer to a Rune Blade.
Okay.
Where you have the more armor and you do magic stuff. But my heart tells me Mystic Wizard.
Mystic Wizard, which honestly it's gonna happen at some point because
oh my god,
it's too cool not to, right?
I know, yeah.
I mean, literally, Waning Moon and Mystic's all about the moon.
Right? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. LSS, please.
Get on this. I mean, how do you make a Mystic Wizard that's not busted?
How do you make a Mystic Hero that's not busted?
It's a real question. We have 0 data points on that so far.
We'll get one maybe eventually. That's a great answer, though. Now, we are quite a few sets into this game at this point, which is awesome. We're getting more every year. Currently, what is your greatest set of all time? By whatever metric you want to measure it.
Sure. Oh man. So I have a soft spot for Arya because that's when I started playing the game, and I think Arya was such a great set. I think people will look back on Uprising being a massive success. I feel like Uprising doesn't get the love that it kind of deserves, maybe because its limited set was so miserable.
Yeah.
But all three heroes in Uprising were hits, and none of them were busted. After a couple things, we had to get rid of Belittle for Fi and stuff.
Stubby Hammerers too.
Exactly, yeah. A couple things had to happen, but after that, they were all very good heroes that weren't wildly busted or anything. I was very happy with Uprising. More recently, I think Rosetta was like, I think Rosetta was such a good set.
Yeah, yeah. I
What about you?
I
What's your
definitely
answer?
think that Rosetta is my favorite limited set so far. I
Agree.
I
Yeah, for
loved
sure.
Rosetta Limited. Um,
Hmm.
funny enough, Josh Scott turned this question on me last week. It's Rosetta Limited. I think if I'm looking at constructed, it is heavy hitters. I,
Yeah.
you were dunking on Hatchet Story
That's not my
before,
vibe,
but
man.
that's I want to get nitty and gritty and just like let's block, guys. Let's just
Yeah.
do it. And then I think aesthetics is Outsiders because big Riptide guy, and I just kind of like
Hmm.
the vibe of Outsiders in the pits. It speaks to me.
Sure.
Although listen, Welcome to Wraith is also just such a
It's a
banger
great one.
looking back on it.
Classic.
So,
I gotta go aesthetically. I gotta go Mistveil. I think that set's so pretty.
oh yeah, yeah, very
I
very pretty.
love the like blue heavy art and everything. It's very flowy. I think it's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, they do a great job, like
They
on
do
the
a really good
aesthetic side.
job. Yeah.
It is awesome. Now, Wizards. I'm thinking it might be Wizards time, MajiinBae. And
I think I would have to agree with you.
we just saw a big meta shakeup in a couple of weeks, right? We saw Enigma and Zen leave at the same time. Enigma was like the big one, and then Zen was like,
That one
yeah,
mattered. Yeah.
that one was gonna go. And
Hmm.
then they kind of hit the almost 12-month mark that they're kind of aiming for, that they talked about in the dev talk. Then Aurora, short lived, and now we're kind of in a world where we're gonna start to see, and you're gonna talk about it on World Tour Weekly, like a huge meta shift. And I think that Wizards could be it. So how are you feeling right now?
Pretty good for Wizard for sure. I mean, like Verdance was already a deck that I think people once like. I mean, I brought Verdance to the Pro Tour. Um, I didn't do as well as I wanted. I went 4-5 with her, but I think like I think if I played that Pro Tour, those matches like 10 times each, I think I'm hit the lower end of like the variance for that one. I think I should have won more games. Um, I think the deck's really strong, but like nobody's playing it. At least locally. Like the representation does not match where I believe the power level to currently be.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Enigma left. It's like, okay, you just freed up like 6 sideboard slots.
Yeah.
And then Aurora left, and it's like, okay, you just freed up like 3 more. And now you can play the deck completely differently if you want to. So I think Verdance is going to continue to be powerful. Uh Kano, I believe, is the biggest winner of Aurora leaving.
Yeah.
Like that, you have 2 bad matchups as Kano. Even pre Enigma LLing. You had Aurora and you had Prism and nothing else. Everything else was like above 50.
Wow.
You were just gambling on not hitting the most popular deck in the field. Which is,
Which I've done before, and it never works out for whatever reason.
exactly. The thing with Kano is that like he had to like Frankenstein his deck to be the like just a powder keg.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are the definition of a glass cannon. Someone's getting blown up, and it might be you. You have like we sacrificed consistency for a lot more power in the list with like all the open the floodgates and all the overflow the Aether Wells. But now that Aurora's gone, you like don't need that.
Yeah.
So I think we dial back a little bit on some of the only combo specific cards, and we start adding things back in like Aether Spindle, increase our consistency, give us a little bit more flexibility. And I think a super competent Kano should be very happy the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I actually lost to one over the weekend. I was playing Control Riptide, so I was gonna lose to any wizard I came
You're gonna
across.
die, yeah.
Yeah. So oh, you're not attacking me? Oh boy, this is not good. But I it feels like such a good Kano meta. You really hit the nail on the head there, and Verdance as well. And I am surprised there isn't more Verdance running around as well. And to be honest, as somebody who's playing Control Riptide, to be honest, when you do well with a deck, Majin, like the ripples happen, and you did well with Verdance,
yeah.
and all of a sudden I was like, man, this is actually not really a good matchup for me. And I was hoping to never worry about this deck, and here I was, which is cool. That's the beautiful thing about this game and how TCGs work. Verdance, I think right now, golly, I mean, what does Verdance have to worry about? What are the main like matchups there?
Yeah, it's tough. I would have told you Prism a couple weeks ago, but like in my Pro Quest, I'm 6-0 against Prisms. And the matchups felt like fine every time. It's just like the deck has, kind of like the Florian thing where you actually, you have a lot of big red attacks. You have your Fellings, you have your Plows. You run a decent amount of Poppers. You actually run more Poppers than Florian because you need the big red attacks. I have like 6 red, 7 power Poppers. So you get to do like the normal kind of big attack thing into Prism, which is pretty strong. But then you also just get to like cheat 2 turns of the game. One turn, you get to Storm Striders, which is almost always used to either kill them or to kill Soraya on the layer step when they pay to attack. So like I'll use my I'll Halo, I'll like flip Soraya, I'll attack, and then you go
Wait a second.
1 second, and then you kill her, and they're like and they just lost so much tempo and usually can't come back. The second turn you get to cheat is just activating Plume to grab red fruits of the forest and popping something again, which is like insane.
That's pretty awesome.
It's good. Like, yeah, and then I don't know, against any aggro deck, they start at 33 because you have like Waning Moon plus 4 power arcane. And if you're just sending like 7 or 8 on your turn and they're doing the normal aggro things, like you usually just kind of win those, right? Like you just have a 7 life buffer.
Yeah.
There's not really anything that I don't want to see. Kano.
Yeah.
I guess Kano. I don't want to run into Kano. That's about it at this current point. Sorry, CYB new is miserable. Miserable.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievably bad. I can't believe it. I like don't even think about it because I don't think there's any fixing the matchup. So it's just like I don't even consider it.
It's just a loss. You just like whatever. Like,
it's so bad.
Well, that actually like speaks to like a reality of this game because there's so many heroes and so many strategies. Sometimes you just got to be like, I can't prepare for this one because even if I do, it's like maybe I'll gain a couple points of like probability of into beating it, but like 5 points is it's not much more than 1. So
and I'm sacking 4 sideboard slots to do it. This is not awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Verdance and Kano feel pretty good right now. Verdance, do you worry? Now this is like me being ignorant about Verdance, but do you worry about Reaping Blade? Because Florian is in the top sphere of the meta as well.
Yeah. No. So the way the Verdance Florian matchup goes, it's like currently a bit of an arms race where like Florians try to, at least for me locally, right? Because we have a lot of stack Florians and a lot of mid-range Florians, and I'm the wizard guy, so people keep trying to do the next thing that beats it, and then I adapt and they adapt. But the issue is like I don't really combo Florians very often. I just have it. And I don't play the healing potions, and maybe the deck goes back to that, but like I really like this energy potion plus fertile ground like combo style because it's much more flexible. Energy potions are just really good in general. So the way the game kind of goes is like every turn I just throw like 7 damage at them. And some of those 7 damage attacks are just evergreens, which just go on the bottom of my deck. And then if they like try to play the mid-range game with me, I just at 1 turn take enough damage and then combo them and kill them. But if they try to stack, then I just fatigue them with evergreens. And I just like put Scour, like I either put red evergreen in my arsenal or Scour. And I just go through my deck and then I just like scour them for 12 and then keep sending 7s. And then like I do it again, right? And it's like, it's so hard to kill a Verdance if you're never going to attack her.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'll send 45 rune chance and 9. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to survive that. And then what are you going to do? Like, it's just
the stacking is like really prevalent right now, I think, with Florian. And, you know, as somebody who's keeps losing to it, I just like look at the card pool that I have available to me. How can I beat all these rune chances? Is there any way to destroy them? And then like you just look over at the wizards who just like
scour, baby.
Scour. It's like the SpongeBob meme where like Squidward's watching like from his
from the window. They're like frolicking outside.
Yeah, it's like all the wizards with scours and oh man, I wish I was a wizard. But Yeah.
Scour was unplayable for like a while.
Yeah.
After it got printed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're eating though. Now we
Yeah.
got something good.
Oh my god. I mean, like, and I played at Armory. I played Acilio, and I want to talk about Acilio as well.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
I have Scours in the sideboard for that,
Yep.
and played against a Fang and blew up some fealties.
So fun.
Still lost because they were just going off, but like it felt good in the moment. I was like,
Yeah.
look at me now.
It's like a moral victory.
Honestly, probably just made my deck less consistent, but
Yep.
we don't need to talk about that. But Acilio, you mentioned you don't really play aggro heroes. Acilio's often lumped in with that, although there is the combo potential. It does some unfair stuff. Sorry,
Yeah.
LSS.
Yeah.
But but in a really fun way. I think Acilio is a lot of fun. Have you looked at Acilio at all as our resident wizard guy and been like, maybe I'll do this?
So I originally was like, I'm gonna play the Earth Wizard, and then Verdance ended up being not much of a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, maybe I'll play Acilio, and then I started playing Acilio way back when Rosetta released, and I was like, oh my god, I just draw all instants and like get so mad, or like I don't have go again, I can't convert this hand, I don't even block well, like this sucks. The newer versions of Acilio are definitely like more consistent. It's much better. People have been working on the deck for a while, so I just like came in and stole it. Right, I just like piggybacked off their work. Asked a lot of questions to my local Acilio player, who was like the Acilio on the World Stream. Steven.
Okay, cool.
Just asked him a ton of questions. He was super helpful. I went to Battle Hard in Santa Clara, and I was the only undefeated player after 7 rounds of Swiss with Acilio. Now that was mostly luck,
Yeah.
because the deck is like still pretty feast or famine.
Mm-hmm.
The issue though is like the other wizards are currently getting better, but I think Acilio is getting worse.
Yeah.
Aurora was like one of your good matchups.
Yeah.
Because you just like are Aurora, but like you deal unblockable damage to her.
And like kind of do like the big turns better, like
exactly.
even physically.
Yeah. Your big turns are better, and like you just do kind of like slightly less good Aurora stuff, but like for one turn, you just get to have like a super turn.
Yeah.
And that usually just like patches you up.
Mm-hmm.
She can't really block your surges very well, right? So like Mind Warp's insane. Etchings just puts you up a card like all the time. So you lose that matchup, and I'm just not super sure how much I love it into like Jarl and Florian and stuff. Like the matchup can be fine, but sometimes you just lose.
Yeah, that is
Like
the
hands don't
problem.
work out. Yeah, sometimes you just lose. It's different. Like if I'm playing Kano into like a Jarl, right? Like I'm just like 100%. Like I'm just not going to lose this game. And that's how I feel most wizards should be. Like if you give a wizard infinite time, you should lose the game. That's like the law. But like when you play Acilio, like sometimes your hands just don't work out, and then you get disrupted on the turn where you're trying to go off, and like since you don't go off on your opponent's turn, you go off on your own turn. Like that can just lose you the game. But my god, this deck is so fun.
It really is.
It's so fun.
Yeah, and like honestly, it's one of those decks that really would have benefited from the books being around.
Yeah. Tome of Aetherwind would have been sick.
Yeah, and Artivore in that deck would have been just insane.
God, yeah. Cool.
But like, interested to see, because we didn't really get a tool for him in the Hunted expansion.
We did not. It was just Verdance was the only one.
So I would be willing to bet the High Seas probably has it. We will see. And maybe that's enough to kind of at least give him some variant, like not variance, like he already has a pretty heavy
got a lot of that,
deck,
yeah.
But like variance and builds, I think
Sure.
because we have like usually whatever the de facto build of Acilio is, and then there's also like a mid-rangey thing that people will do sometimes, and then there's
bigger spells.
Yeah, bigger spells, and then there's also the like combo Blast to Oblivion thing, which is fun in theory, but a little hard to pull off. But
a little hard to pull off.
So what we've looked at the 3 wizards. Meta shifted. What needs to continue to go right going forward? Here going into the High Seas meta.
It's really different for each wizard. My like 2 cents is that something like Gravy Bones could end up being a big potential problem for Kano
Okay.
because he struggles to deal with allies. And we've already seen like prevention effects on allies. And then like if a deck like Gravy Bones, we've seen this with like Enigma and Dromai. If a deck like Gravy Bones that has a board setup plan decides they don't want to lose to Kano, they get to just not lose to Kano.
Mm-hmm.
You pack your 3 Oasis, you have your AB, and then like you get on your board and you just sit. You just sit on your prevention and you're chilling. So like there's a world where decks start to do that. I don't think it's like super likely. And if Gravy Bones isn't good enough at preventing arcane damage, pretty likely chance she just dies on turn 3 once you like find the combo. Verdance, most people don't know this, but Verdance pings go to any target.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you could ping all of his allies. Fun fact, with Ring of Roses on the board, anytime I play against Prism and I activate Verdance, I ping the Angel because it triggers Ring of Roses, and then I heal one, and then I ping them. So like every time I activate Verdance, I just gain an extra life for free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a cool little thing you don't get to do. So if he plays those allies, you're like, ping 2 there with my heartbeat, and then ping 1 here. You know, it's like that's really good.
That's awesome.
Sorry, the original question was what has to go right for
yeah, what needs to continue to go right for Verdance, which I think we can agree she's in a great spot.
She's in a great spot. The Ranger could be a problem. Same thing with the mech if it's fast enough. But she's an Earth hero. She can just like block out mechs. It looks like the mech's gonna go away from boosting, which would make it harder for her. But I think a lot of it is going to lie on the Ranger. I think like Acilio might struggle into a big on-hit Ranger. As we've kind of seen with like Azalea and stuff sometimes. I don't know. We'll just have to see. It's so tough to guess how Wizards will do into different heroes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we'll see what goes right, what goes wrong. There's a lot of questions still with the high seas heroes, as we mentioned, like 3 of a kind seems to be good again, or something like that. And we'll see how that goes. So very interesting. One final question for you before we get to listener questions, though. I didn't even put this one in the show notes, but I just wanted to ask: have you ever been feign deathed when you were playing Kano?
Actually, I haven't been.
Oh,
not even once.
I wish that card was actually good.
I'm so glad it's not. Are you kidding me? That card's so miserable.
Oh man, you can't even like keep it in your arsenal because you need your arsenal. It's a pain.
My biggest thing that was like that, it wasn't feign death, but I was playing in a calling. And I was playing Icelander, and my round 1 opponent was Briar. And we went like so deep into the game, and we were getting close to second cycle. And my opponent was really low, like Stormstrider's Waning Moon kill distance through their arcane barrier. But the issue is that like I had like a blue spell in my arsenal, right? Like Aether Hail or whatever. So Aether Hail plus Waning Moon would have killed them, but if I went for it and they had a way to prevent some of the damage or heal, I would have died. So I was waiting for something to also Stormstriders, just in case they have something weird like Oasis Respite in their deck.
Yeah.
And then we got to second cycle. I didn't see Oasis Respite, but I never found the spell to Stormstriders. So they like draw their fresh 4. They put me to like lethal. And I say, it's like, okay, I'm just going to send it now. So I send it, and their last card in hand is yellow Oasis Respite, and they live at 1. And I was like, you're kidding me. Yellow Oasis Respite? You're kidding me. And they're like, oh my god, I have to go tell everybody that I got him with the yellow Oasis. I'm like, come on.
The yellow. Holy smokes. That's like, I don't know. Like at that point, you're just like,
whatever.
Listen.
It is what it is. I tried to play around it without even knowing it was there. It just didn't work out. And then I was like, I was thinking unkind thoughts about my opponent for sure when that happened. I was like, this guy put yellow Oasis Respite in his deck, got paid off, and then he was like, I think the only undefeated at the end of day 1.
Oh wow!
So I was like, oh okay, I guess he's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I always say we gotta look at our yellows more. I mean, they can be good. They can be. It is still two resources, which is nice. So we do have listener questions, though. These come from the Buzz Discord, which is free for anybody that joined. Check it out. It's in the show notes. First one comes from Orc Knight, a.k.a. Jesse Harper. Do you miss the olden days of being a Viserai player?
Not particularly. The only time I think fondly on my time playing like Viserai, and other like non-wizard decks was when I was playing Kano and I Kano into like Eye or Kindle and just lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose like an unlosable game, you're just like, I wish I was just playing a real deck. Like that's probably the only time. Since I've gotten like Verdance, I don't feel that way anymore because I get to just play real games and then do a little bit of wizard shenanigans, which feels nice. Sometimes I do, especially when I'm playing Kano or Acilio. I hate quick games during tournaments because like if my brain is wandering for 40 minutes, I like get out of the zone and I get mentally fatigued way faster than if I just play like 50-minute games every round.
Interesting.
It's really weird, but that's just like how I am. So a deck like Icelander or Verdance keeps me in the zone the whole tournament. I can play like 9-10 rounds and be fine. But when I play like Acilio and kill my opponent in 5-10 minutes and then just like wander around, I get so like exhausted.
Wow.
Halfway through the day. Yeah.
That's like the opposite of most people, I feel like.
I know. Yeah, I don't know why I'm like this. It's just kind of how it is. I think like I'm actually a super introverted person. I know this is like really weird to hear from me because I'm on YouTube and Twitch and I talk to everybody at tournaments and stuff, but like I only have so much social battery before I have to spend time alone.
Yeah.
So like sometimes in convention centers, you'll see me with my headphones in outside of the center or on like a far table. And usually I'm just like trying to kind of like recenter myself. So I think what it is that all the socializing after the game exhausts me mentally more than the actual game.
Trust me, that makes total sense to me. I'm the same. I mean, I'm not the same way because I also get mentally fatigued by playing, but I also get mentally fatigued by a lot of social interaction as well. But yeah, hey, like a lose sometimes.
What are you gonna
do? Next question comes from Sigma, who actually asked 2 questions. Well, he actually asked like a lot of questions, but I picked 2. Sigma.
Pick 2? Okay.
Is Eternal Inferno, love this card by the way, a trap
Such a cool card.
or an unexplored combo card, and how well does Time Snap Potion pair with it?
I think it's currently a trap if you play it anything other than like a Scalding Rain Plus. And that's because what you can cast, like if you're constantly pumping multiple spells in a turn, currently the only like actual way to do that is Wildfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you still need to like cast it at instant speed. So if you're Wildfiring, it's on your opponent's turn. And so it's really hard to like, you'd have to use your Storm Striders to cast Eternal Inferno again. As far as on your turn, it's really tough because you can't like double pump it. And then with Time Snap Potion, it's the same problem. Like you can't double pump it on your turn without expending more cards. So is it really worth it? Like let's look at Verdance and you have Millennium Tree or something. You cast Eternal Inferno for 7, it hits with Surge, and then you banish it, and then like you could Storm Striders and send 4, but like that's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have Time Snap Potion, it's like, okay, you've taken an action point and a card to possibly gain 4 damage on a future turn where you do the amped Eternal Inferno, right? You have Tree, Eternal Inferno, banish it, crack Time Snap Potion before, do it again. But like if your opponent AB3s, it doesn't work. And even then, it's like that's not good value.
Yeah.
Like spending a card and an action point for 4 damage, you hope down the line is like bad. So even when your thing works out, it doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't see it done.
Yeah, it is one of those cards that like you look at it and you're like, maybe 5 years from now this will be banned or something. Right?
Yeah, something's going to be insane with this card eventually.
Something will break it. I tried to just do something in Acilio with it with Eclectic Magnetism. I just thought like that was like the best application I could find for a deck that I would normally play.
That's sick, actually. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. You can pump it and then boom, 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 and then you get the other action point if they had go again. Yada yada yada. But it's an awesome card. So
It is a really cool card.
Keep an eye out on that one, folks. I would say.
I got my 3. Don't worry.
Yeah. And Sigma also asks, if not wizard, what class would you pick?
Historically, I have played Runeblades.
Hmm.
I'm not playing wizard. I recently really loved New.
Interesting.
Because like I love doing things at instant speed, and I love when like just pure damage value is not how games are really decided, which is like New's very good at that. And then obviously wizards are kind of that way as well. Where you have to shape your actions around more of like a macro plan, where it's like Kano, you're looking to set up a big combo, right? Like Acilio, you need to keep your opponent on the back foot while also looking to set up a combo. New, you're playing towards like a more fatiguey plan. I just like find those games and styles more interesting. So, but the other assassins have not really done it for me. So probably just like Runeblade.
Listen,
yeah.
Let me pitch something at you.
Oh yeah.
Riptide. Listen, you're getting really cool value out of blocking and doing stuff on their turn.
That's true.
Getting a lot of tempo. It's like almost like Icelander Light, or even
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and the collapsing trap. You haven't lived until you play the collapsing trap. I'm telling you. That card's awesome. I think, like,
you know how everybody has those decks that they just refuse to lose to?
Yeah.
Riptide loses to the decks that I refuse to lose to.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of not something I'm going to entertain. But I think there could be a ranger that maybe appeals to me. I think the class that like is missing the mark the most, but I could see it being a really big thing for me is mech, actually. I love like setting up items. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, and like Dash.io kind of like doing the instant thing and looking at the top.
She's so fun.
Yeah.
If you played her, she's such a fun deck.
Really cool. And then you can like start throwing in fun items in there. You're like, oh, what if I did this? Like more of a toolboxy thing. It's a lot of fun. Next question comes from Nathaniel from Bulbrew Games, who first says, my favorite story time to date is when you threw up everywhere in LA. It makes for an epic story. And the question is, what class and talent do you want made in the future?
That's it. Mystic Wizard.
Yeah.
Mystic Wizard above all. That's like the holy grail for me. But other than that, the class I want the most, no talent. I want Alchemist.
Yeah.
I love my potions. I throw potions into any deck that I can.
I mean, you play a good class for them, I will say.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great answer. Next question comes from Capolo, who asks, if you could brand a current video game to have Flesh and Blood IP and heroes, which video game would it be?
Okay, so I'm thinking 2 different directions with this. Maybe even 3 different directions. One's like an RPG, like a Skyrim or an Elden Ring type game. Like that'd be really cool, right?
That's the shoe-in, right?
Yeah. And then like I think a MOBA would be pretty sick. But the main one is I would pick Riot's Project L, the fighting game.
Okay. Seems cool.
That would be really fun.
That would be
It's just like a tag team fighter. I think it'd be so cool to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go like Icelander in the back, Oldhim in the front. Let's fucking go. Like I don't know, it'd be fun.
That'd be cool. I mean, listen, I would love to see like a Smash Bros style brawler. That would be kind of fun. And then like all the different potions of the items. And it'd be fun to see how they would design that. But obviously when you have a bunch of cool characters, anything with heroes or anything like that, it's going to be pretty cool. Great question though, Capolo. Next question comes from Darth Prentice, aka Greg, who asked, what's the best book you've read this year or in the last year? And bonus question, true or false, smut in book makes for better books?
The best book I read this last year. Sorry, my dog's going wild. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. I really liked The Will of the Many, which I think came out like about a year ago. And then recently, oh man, sorry, I read a lot, so I'm like going through like what did I read? Maybe a bit of recency bias, but I recently read The Tainted Cup I think it's called The Tainted Cup. It's like a biopunk, like Sherlock Holmes style book.
Ooh, that sounds
Um,
fun.
it was so good. Like I got it recommended to me. I bought it on a whim because it was the day before leaving for London. I read it on the plane, and it was like incredible. Um, so
Sweet.
yeah, I mean, I often don't get like I read a lot of books, and usually I can tell what's going to work for me before I even read it. This one I wasn't sure, so I was like very surprised that I liked it so much.
Sweet. Sweet.
Mhm.
I'm definitely gonna check them out. I'm trying to read a
They're good.
book a month this year.
Oh yeah,
So
what's been your favorite? Because I could talk about books forever, man.
I just finished. Well, I'm actually reading this series called the Tide Child trilogy. First book is called Bone Ships. I just finished that, and I'm on the second book. It's a lot of fun. I'm trying to get hyped for High Seas. That was
Mm,
awesome. I kind of
Same theme.
revisited some older stuff, like Day of the Triffids, which was really good. Kind of like every post-apocalyptic, not every post-apocalyptic movie, but like a lot of like the beginning was literally the beginning of 28 Days Later. So it
Oh
was
wow.
really good. And then I read this really cool fix-up book, bunch of different short stories called A Canticle for Leibowitz, which I really enjoyed.
I need to read that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, check it out. It's pretty
That's been
neat.
on my to be read list for like a long time.
Yeah, so check that one out. That one was a lot of
I will.
fun. It was like
Okay.
a little tongue in cheek and like also like
Yeah.
really like immersed you in this world and kind of made a lot of sense in a way. Um,
Yeah, it's the premise is so like unique.
yeah, yeah, it's
I think
so
it's a
cool. It's like from
really
the
cool book.
'50s
Yeah.
too. You're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about the
Oh,
smut?
sorry. The smut. Well, I I think it can make books better. It definitely can. It 100% depends on my mood while reading.
Oh, interesting.
But the thing is like, because sometimes you're like, yeah, but sometimes it's just like not what you're feeling. The good thing is that like, if I'm in a mood to not be really about it, you can just like skim or
Sure.
skip it, and you don't miss anything. Um, but I every time I see a question like this, I think of Kushiel's Dart, I think it's called, which is like a fantasy book, and it's like basically political smut.
Okay.
But it's honestly like one of the best fantasy series like that I've ever read. It's like incredible. Um, but it uses like the character is I haven't read it in so long. The character sleeps around with a lot of people to gather information that can be used to further her and her crew kind of agenda,
Okay.
political agenda. And it's just like it's really good. And so like I don't recommend the book to people because like technically it's kind of smut, but it's like that's not the point.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, it makes
so
sense in
yes,
the context of the story, which I think is the
exactly,
biggest thing.
exactly. Yeah. So I would say not always smut makes a book a better book, but sometimes it can be nice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really gravitate towards it. I like a rated R book, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously these characters are going to sleep together if there's
Yeah.
tension. Like it'd be weird not to. Like I'm not trying to like, be on the edge of my seat about that throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
Because like my wife will read some stuff sometimes and she'll be like, check out this passage. I'm like, whoa.
Whoa.
Just like, holy smokes. I mean, hey, I don't
Yeah.
want to yuck anybody's yum, but I don't know if it's for me. But good question, Darth. I want to know how you feel about it, though. I'll ask you later. Uh,
Yeah.
and the final question comes from William from the Table Pit, who asks, is Verdance Icelander, or rather, is Verdance what LSS printed for Icelander players? So it's not it is, but LSS thinks it is.
Yeah. I think they saw Bolander and like they talk about how everyone loves Aurora, which she's a super popular hero. People do seem to really like Aurora.
Hmm.
But like a lot of people also really, really liked Icelander.
Yeah.
Um, and I think they saw the Bolander thing and went, "Oh, why don't we like make that a hero?" But the issue is like the bull part of Bolander is not the fun part of
Yeah.
Bolander. So Verdance, unfortunately, we got like the half of Icelander that I think is not super interesting. Um, I think she's like half a character is the issue.
Mm, yeah.
Verdance is very much like an Earth hero, and then they like put in a couple wizard cards, but like you can't build around the wizard half because there isn't enough there
Yeah, currently.
So like right now, like recently before Aurora left, I was boarding out Millennium Tree a lot because like it's just a 3-block Earth card. Like most of the time, it just doesn't do anything, right? Like I'm not even casting spells. I'm just sending Wounded Bulls at my opponent. So it's like I think maybe they thought it would appeal a bit to the same audience, and it kind of does, but like I do think it missed the mark if that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I think people wanted the disruption, I would say, and the ice aesthetic is really just
so nice,
second to none,
so nice.
right? Like
plus, like Icelander is a wizard, right?
Yeah.
Like everything about her screams wizard. And the deck really paid you off for like your game knowledge, like knowing what your opponent was trying to do at all times. Like you really got paid for that. And Virtus just like she just doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, have like your blues suck, except for like Heartbeat. So you just like block with the cards that aren't the red you're going to cast that turn, and like that's mostly Verdance.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it's not their Icelander villain.
I hope so too. You know, as much as I used to lose to Icelander, I think she was pretty important, right, for the game, and I hope to see the revisitation of her soon. Just an armory deck, right? We already have the card pool.
I know.
So
I keep seeing people be like, some people keep floating the idea, which I don't think this will happen, but it'd be cool. A Dromai versus Icelander, like armory deck duo, like the Prism versus Viscerai thing. Like that'd be so sick.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool. Oh man, now that idea's in my head. All right, well, with that, it's been a great show. I've had a lot of fun with you, as I always do. Love chatting with you, buddy. Can you please plug everything you like to plug? And thank you.
Sure. Yeah. My stuff's just MajiinBae everywhere. It's
pretty easy, actually.
There's no one else who goes by that, so it's just me. Yeah, I mean, like I have a YouTube channel. I have a Discord, which is just MajiinBae, MajiinBae's Lounge. I'm not super active on Twitter or Blue Sky anymore. Just kind of stepped away from a lot of those social medias, which has been a very good choice. Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it tends to be.
Watch the World Tour weeklies and leave a nice comment. That's what I want people to do.
Yes. Check them out. Please check out Majin's stuff. Although I'm already sure all of you do, because he's the best. You can all continue to find me here on the YouTube at freshbudspod on Blue Sky mostly these days. Check out the Buds Discord. Give us old like, comment, subscribe. If you listen on Spotify, do the old rating of the 5 stars. I think that helps. And what else? Oh, Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast that I do with my cousin. That one's a lot of fun. We do that weekly as well. I'm headed to PAX East this weekend with him. Going to be a good time. And the Patreon. I posted a really fun deck tech of a Riptide deck that's playing Skullbone Cross Wraps, folks. Playing that. So it must be good. And there's gameplay with it. So check that out. The gameplay will eventually be out on the YouTube, but the full deck tech and the gameplay is out on the Patreon. Check that out. All in the show notes below. Finally, food. I love food. You love food. Tell me about some food that you are enjoying lately.
Oh, man. I mean, last time you asked me, I probably said Korean food because I love Korean food.
Makes sense.
But I think like what's changed since then is the Japan trip.
Oh,
for Flushing. Yeah. God, the food in Japan is incredible. So like I just had a lot of that. Just a lot of everything. Anything they offered.
And I'm sure it was all very good, and I would love to have it someday, and maybe even tonight, but I can't be in Japan tonight because I got to edit this podcast, and because I got to edit this podcast, I don't have time to talk to Charmer, so we'll get to him next time. Thank you, everybody. Yep. Please stay